Here at Inala we have a community jury that was set up by Chelsea Bond and I think it's really important because the feedback I have is it's because who currently chairs is an elder male, and he said, wow, this is great, because he didn't think he'd have the chance of actually participating in the health of his community. So with this community jury we have 14 members, and male equals female, and across the age span. So it's the way about the community having input into our research. Everyone who does research here has got to present to the community jury, and they give excellent feedback on cultural issues about their research program.
But with the community jury, with the research and things like that, I think it's very, very important that you get a body of people, a diverse body of people in fact, and we discuss the issues that are put on the table and make a recommendation. And that's a democratic way of helping our people.
I'm Deb Askew, the Research Director here at the Inala Indigenous Health Service, or the Centre of Excellence as it now is known. The community jury is a group of representatives group of people from the community. 4 people. It was set up initially to ensure meaningful engagement with the community in terms of approving our research. Researchers present to the community jury and tell them about their research, answer 3 questions. Why does the research have to be done? How is it going to be done, and what benefit to the community? And that's a really tough question to actually articulate to the potential participants in the research. What benefit is it? And so that's been very challenging.
So I'm Justin Coleman. I've been a GP in Aboriginal health for probably a dozen years, and I've been at Inala for about 8 years now. The name Citizens Jury came from the United States, where I think the whole concept started. And so when Professor Gavin Mooney brought it to Australia and decided it would be a great thing here, he kept the name Citizens Jury. And again, citizen reflected that 12 just men sort of thing. Originally, of course, it's men and women. But then we felt, I think, for our community that was a bit, when we ran it past a few people, I think people thought it was a little bit cold and didn't quite hit the mark, so we called it a community jury instead.
So the community jury is, when we first set it up, we put a call out to the community in the local newspaper to people to nominate themselves to be selected for the jury. We also had 4 designated positions when we first started the jury, to recognise that there actually are 4 Indigenous community-controlled organisations and bodies that already exist here and have existed long before this service, our service, has been here, and we have to acknowledge their wisdom and their knowledge and expertise. The 4 organisations included the Inala Elders Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Corporation, Wandara Preschool, Inala Wangara, and also one of the representatives from the traditional owner group of the region. So we invited them to nominate someone from their respective organisations, and then we randomly selected from people who nominated to be on the jury.
In terms of research, we're really looking for a mechanism rather than just a rubber stamp where the Inala elders say, yeah, that's fine, and write us a letter. It really sort of, there's a consultative process. So the researchers go to this jury and present their research, and then the jury discuss it, and then they say whether they think that's in the best interest of the community or not. And if they say yes, then the researcher will get a letter that they can go off to their ethics committee for full approval. And if not, then obviously it won't go ahead or needs further work.
So in the end, I'm really grateful that the idea and the concept Gavin Mooney had back in 2005 and beforehand eventually turned into such a fantastic, vibrant community jury, the first all Aboriginal jury in Australia. And I think Gavin, who tragically passed away last year, would have been very proud of what he'd achieved and we'd achieved.
My name's Dr. Wendy Foley. I've been working at Inala Indigenous Health since 2009 now. I did my doctoral fieldwork here back 10 years ago, so I've been involved in the Inala Health Service since 2003 now. I presented to the jury in the very first meeting, so I guess we were all learning what it was about. I presented about research with mums and infants on infant feeding, and the jury were interested about it. They were wondering how this research would articulate with another research that was focused by one of the clinicians in our service that was focused on pregnant mums. So they were looking at links between things that were very sensible links as far as the community goes. It wasn't a harsh experience where they were saying, you're a white researcher, we don't want you in our service. They were talking about what was going to be good, how it might be good to approach the mums. Maybe I should include dads as well. And there were lots of really fruitful and positive discussion and overall support for the research.
So my experience, it was quite early on in my position as the dietitian here at the service. So my experience with the community, I was extremely nervous. I think it's the word jury too. So I had in mind this courtroom and that I had to face up to this judge with a big stick saying, yes, Emily, we approve, or bang for no, you can't go ahead and question our people.
Yeah, I presented a project to the community jury. I thought it was a really nice project, I really did, and it was just such an eye-opener to me because the community jury didn't like the project, and the things that they didn't like, there were two major things they didn't like about it. Was they were concerned about who was going to analyse the stories and then put them into a training module, and how would we be able to guarantee that their voices we stayed true to their voices once it was in the training module. The other thing that they were concerned about was the involvement of a student and who that student was going to be. And would that be an Indigenous student or not? Was it, and then questions about, well, what benefit? Is it just so that the student can get a piece of paper, get a degree, or what benefit is it really going to be to us? Is that student just going to use our stuff to get our information, our voices, to get a degree? And I tried to answer the questions as best I could, but almost everything I said dug me further into a hole, and in the end I just didn't know what to say, because there were these issues being raised that I hadn't anticipated, that I didn't know would be issues, and so therefore I couldn't answer them because I hadn't actually thought about what was being asked of me. And so yeah, I went away and thought about it a lot, and I came back to the next meeting and presented a new project or a new protocol. I think it went down really well. That I'd really thought about the issues and presented a new protocol to them. It highlighted that if we have students coming in, people doing a student project, even if it is our clinicians, they've still got to declare that it's for us. They're getting a degree out of it, that they're getting benefit from it. And at that second meeting, one of the elders started calling me Dr. Deb, and I was just like, oh, thank God. I've got a stamp of approval now. It's okay, I can stay here.
They're scared. We intimidate them. They're frightened. They don't want to talk. And they try and ask questions, and they're just sitting there real thing way and looking at their notes, and we scare them because we ask the questions that they don't even think about in their research, like, oh, okay, maybe we should do something else then and try something else. So I'm glad we're on that. I'm glad we scare them.
To be honest, at first I thought there was a lot of awkwardness. I mean, there's a lot of tentativeness. The thing that I really appreciate is the passion. Every person that's coming to us, they're coming to us because they're genuine, and you can sense that about it. And I appreciate anybody who's genuine. They're here for the same cause that we are. They want to improve the life of Indigenous people. They want to close the gap. So I appreciate that. And I like the fact that it's very community orientated as well. They really respect the community sense about what's happening on the west side here. So I appreciate that.
goal for us is how will it benefit our community, and we make sure that it's culturally appropriate, and if we think yes it does benefit the community, we support it.
It's important, otherwise they won't know how to treat us, treat our mob, look after us. If we don't tell them, they don't know nothing. They can give us something else and we'll all be going silly. No, I shouldn't. No, I shouldn't. Sorry, no. But we've got to know how to look after our young people and our elderly and all the fellas in between.
If the jury decide to support a particular piece of research, and they don't always, they've challenged some research that's had to go back to the drawing board and be brought back to the next meeting. But if they decide that this bit of research is worthwhile for their community, then they sign a letter to show the community's support for this research. That letter then gets attached to ethics applications that need to go to the Human Research Ethics Committee in our district. I happen to be a member of that ethics committee that meets at the PA hospital, and so I've got an insider perspective on how that kind of letter is received at the ethics committee level. And I know that the ethics committee values those letters and feels that a deliberative process like the community jury and the end result of a letter of support is genuine, and it does show that the research is accepted by the jury.
A lot of the research that researchers have come to the jury with has been supported by the jury, and there have been things that haven't been supported by the jury. And what's interesting is the jury doesn't actually say, no, we don't support the research. Our mob, we don't shame people publicly. I think we're very good like that. And so people won't say, no, sorry, we're not going to let you do that research. They'll often ask for more information, or they'll say, can you come back and bring us those questions that you intend on asking? And I think it's our very subtle way of saying we're not 100% with this, so we're going to need to do a bit more work. And so there's never been a case where people have said, no, you're not doing this research, get out of our community. It's come back next time. And it's a really gentle process of making sure people are ready before that we entrust them upon our community. And I really respect how that happens, and just a very, no one discussed that's how it would take place, it just happens that way. And I think it's the stewardship, the wisdom of our elders and our senior people on the jury who manage that. And there have been a couple of times in more recent times where my auntie said, look, can you show us the questions? Can you come back and it's her way of saying, I'm not okay with this, so we just need to do a bit more work. And I really like that they do it that way. Some researchers have talked about feeling scared to come to the jury, feeling intimidated, and it is intimidating because you've got 12, 14 local community members sitting at the table, healthy, strong, well, representing their community. And when the jury talk about why they're involved in the jury, they talked about representing Inala. People are proud to come from this place. People are proud to represent this community and take it very seriously that when they come to the jury, they're representing Inala and they're representing their family and community, and they really want to do it justice. And so you see that in their presence in the room when researchers come in. And so I guess that can be intimidating and scary for some researchers. But in saying that, jury members are very welcoming.
I began, just as a community member who started off as a jury member, and then the job for Indigenous Research Officer, came up. At the time, I was still a young mum and just enjoying staying home with my child. But I guess what really struck me was I was actually really enjoying the jury process and was getting really inspired by the type of research that was happening in our community with our people. And, at the end of the day, the research that is conducted here is making, a hell of a difference in our community, and I guess I kind of wanted to be a part of that. So I applied for the job, and and I got it, and I'm glad that I can still be a part of the community jury. So I'm not a jury member anymore, but I help facilitate and organise the jury. So it's still nice to have that connection to now.
My name's Alan Renoff. I've been around this area for about 35 years. I got connection to the Cubby Cubby tribe. I'm a direct descendant from Taucha. She was a Cubby Cubby woman. She was a tribal woman, and I'm descended from her, and that's the black side of me.
Well, my name's Wesley Kent. I'm married for over 10 years now, father of 4 children. I'm born and bred in Mount Isa, northwest Queensland. I'm a descendant of the Kalkadoon people.
My name is Natasha Duncan. I was born in Cherbourg. I've lived in Inala for over 20 years. Currently living at Carroll Park because no one won't let me back in Inala. No. I got 5 kids, 4 girls and 1 boy.
Okay, my name's Carol Lewis. I've been living in the Inala area since about 1971. I'm a Bidjara woman from the Augathella Charleville area.
My name's Lorna Tyson. My family's from up Cooktown on my grandmother's side. My father's lot is out from Springshaw.
So my name is Sonia Eggett. I'm a descendant of the Quandamooka people of North Stradbroke Island. My mother's people are the Nunakal people, and my dad's is the Gurrumpul people.
I'm Uncle Albert Holt, and originally I was born in Cherbourg Mission. I came to Brisbane in the early 60s. Been here ever since at a place called Inala, which I love, and as a community elder, I've got a lot of opportunities to contribute to the community as a whole, and I just love the work I'm doing.